Welcome back, League mates and listeners. We are back together. We just completed our redraft league, and it was hit or miss. We'll talk
was
about it.
interesting.
Yeah, later on. There were a couple players that we definitely thought would fall to us, but didn't end up happening. But we're gonna hop right into the draft board and go over some of our favorite picks and just our overall thought process throughout the draft and how our teams turned out. So see you there. All right, well, here is the draft board, and based off the first looks of this board, you might think, wow, Kellum, Riley's team had a terrible draft, but we were just spamming emojis on there. It was a new feature that Sleeper added.
Yeah.
Shout out Sleeper.
Crazy.
And you could see my draft on Dayne Train and Cowboy Junkie, and the fourth spot right after me is AJ. So we did have a quick turnaround thing. I would say I did like our spots, but
Yeah.
we were slammed between Jake and Peter, who Jake kept sniping me, and it sounded like Peter
Jake was sniping
kept
me a little bit
you
too. I think Ethan sniped me quite. I got sniped by a lot. We'll get into it, but I got sniped a lot towards the end.
Yeah. Well, do we want to go round by round first, and then kind of go into?
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's go round by round first. We're basically gonna do our favorite pick from each round, whether that's value or just a guy that we really like in that round. So I guess I'll start it off because I'm talking already. First round, I feel like they're all good picks realistically. I'm just gonna go kind of based off what I think is a good value and who I think might be getting a little disrespected. I think Justin Jefferson at 9. If I was at 9, I would have been pretty pumped about getting Jett as a 9. He showed that good with a bad quarterback at the end of that last year, and I think he'll be a top receiver again. So getting him at the back and getting another good player right away feels pretty nice.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's more so just the touchdowns that scare me rather than like the yards and receptions, because just bad quarterbacks, bad teams, they don't score a lot of touchdowns, but yeah, they can rack up all their yards that they can get. I would say the best pick in my eyes might be Jamar Chase. I mean, we don't fully know if he's going to be playing week 1 or not, but I really, in my episode, I was disclosing that I really wanted him at the third pick, and I passed on him, so getting him at 6, I think could be a pretty good value. I mean, yeah, there's really no one else. I would say maybe like, obviously Garrett Wilson's probably the weakest pick of the first round, but he's also the last pick of the first round. So
yeah. All right, moving on. Second
Here
round.
we go.
This is a weird round for me, honestly. Second round was kind of weird for me this entire draft process, just like mocking and all that. There was never anyone I was super sold on. I'm between two guys, and I think I'm between those two because I think their upside is incredibly high. But I think I'm going to go Devon Achane as my favorite pick.
Hey,
You picked that.
that's my guy. Why didn't you take him? Why didn't you
If
take him?
I didn't have a Hill, I probably would have taken him, but I really didn't want to start off Miami. I'm sure it would have worked out just fine. It just feels like a weird way to start the draft. So
It does.
but it's like a crazy good value. I feel like he has such like game winning and like league winning upside every week. It's insane.
Yeah, and that was something I was doing in my mock drafts, is like I was talking about how I'll probably get Hill because I knew it was going to go CMC CD. I was like, well, Hill's going to be sitting there for me. The RBs that I like are Achane and Pacheco, and I really don't want to go Achane after taking Tyreek Hill. So that's why I pivoted hard to Breece Hall. And yeah, I would say my favorite pick would be, I think, either Kyron Williams to Peter's team or Pacheco. Obviously, I do like the HN pick also, but I think the Pacheco pick with CeeDee Lamb is really good because I was hoping that Pacheco would follow me in that third round after taking HN right there. So
yeah, I'm
those
not
are
very
my
high
two.
on Kyron. I don't know. I probably won't. I just like I do see Blake Corum getting some work. I'm not saying that Kyron's not going to be good, but I just am a little bit worried about that workload. And Pacheco, I agree though with Pacheco. I think Pacheco was really solid. I was wish and pray that he made it back to round 3. He never had, like, ever. But like if he had been there, I would have snagged him in round 3. I think he's just like set for a lot of work. So
One question: what do you? So, are you worried about Marshawn Lloyd with Josh Jacobs?
well, I think Marshawn Lloyd is significantly worse than Blake Corum. I was worried about Marshawn
Okay.
Lloyd a little bit. For what I've seen in preseason, and also he's hurt. I guess I'm not as scared now, but I guess when he got drafted right away, I was a bit scared for Jacobs because I didn't think he would be a workhorse from the beginning, but now I kind of do because both Dylan is out, Lloyd is hurt. Seems like he's just poised for that.
Yeah, what I was getting at is I feel like it's all kind of just narrative. Where if Corum was hurt in preseason and Lloyd was practicing or playing with the team and everything, and he was getting all that hype, like we
They'd be
would
flopped.
be seeing it different. So I'm kind of just like, I don't know how much Corm's going to be getting. Like, I still think Corm's going to be that dude. Corm's going to
Yeah.
be there in the background lingering. And round 3, I'm going to be going through it. We got Laporta, White, Debo, Kelsey, Hurts, Olave, Ayuk, Collins. I think my favorite is Cooper Cup at the end of the 3rd round at that 311. I did one mock where I got him at the 303. If Debo wasn't there, he would have been my next wide receiver taken. So him falling all the way to the end of the 3rd, I think is pretty good value.
Yeah. I'm gonna be lame here, but I totally agree. Cooper Cup is easily, I think, my favorite pick. I think he's gonna be really, really good for a 3rd round pick. He could very easily outscore Puka, and no one would be surprised. So I think that's a great pick.
I think
Otherwise,
the most fun pick though is Neighbors with that.
I
That's
agree.
a cool little stack right there.
It's a fun stack. I totally agree. I kind of think Riley's team is really fun. Like, it's a fun team to root for. His first like 6 picks I thoroughly enjoy. Like, I'd be like pumped to root for those guys every week.
I agree. Yeah,
Round
even
4.
like his first 10 picks, I think are pretty.
You think
fun.
10? You think 10?
Honestly, all of the picks are really fun. Like, who doesn't
got
want
a
to
fun
root
team.
for Zach Moss? Who doesn't want to root
I
for
don't.
Rico Dowdle or Rashid
That I
Shaheed,
do.
Jalen Polk, Gibby?
Give it. Yeah, I mean, he's got a fun team. That's kind of what he was saying though the whole time. He said he's just gonna draft a fun team, people he likes, and it's still, I think, a very reasonable team. So I have my favorite pick by far. It is who I had gotten in damn near every single mock draft. So I'm a little bit upset that I didn't get him. Alvin Kamara. I had basically gotten every single mock. I'm very sad I did not get him in the 4th. He was like always my RB1, always really happy about it, and didn't get there. The RBs went fast, lightning quick. Normally in this, I feel like I was always getting Joe Mixon, Kamara, Walker, or James Cook. One of them, but they were all gone. So I don't know. Kamara's my favorite. He's gonna have a ton of volume. Kentray's out for the first 4 weeks. He's gonna be solid.
I was thinking either Kenneth Walker, Jalen Waddle really stands out to me. I gave that a couple hearts in there, or even my pick, Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is my favorite tight end going into the draft. So getting him as the 3rd tight end, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I have a sour taste in my mouth, I think, from a different league with Andrews, him just being hurt. So it's one of those things where it's like last year bias, where you're like, oh, I'm not touching that guy, but he's going to be a beast, I'm sure, this year. And
Yeah, and I have a sour taste of Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson.
fair enough,
next
fair
year.
enough, fair enough, fair enough. You know what? Speaking of who you just mentioned there, round 5, I got to give a shout out to my boy. Zay Flowers is my favorite pick. I am addicted to Zay Flowers. Everyone knows it. It was no surprise that I picked him in the 5th round. I think it was sick that I got Lamar. I didn't ever have Lamar in any mock, but I said, I don't like anyone here. No running backs are left. You know what? I'm going to go Lamar, and I bet you Zay follows, and I get that stack. I just have a lot of faith that Zay Flowers is going to have that 2nd-year jump, and he's really fun to watch. So Zay Flowers is my favorite pick. A little biased there, maybe.
I do not have the same faith. I do have a lot of faith and was hyping up T. Higgins a lot in my episode, so I'm really happy that he fell to me. He was one of my must grab guys in that 5th if he was there. So I'm happy with that. But Diggs in the 5th round also stands out to me as a pretty good value. And then I would say Kyler Murray is also one of my favorite picks in this round because I think he's a much better value than C.J. Stroud and A-Rich. And
Yeah,
then my
100%.
least favorite pick by far, it should stand out to me, is Aaron Jones. I think
Oh, yeah.
that's just burn your pick in
It's
the
atrocious.
5th round with Aaron Jones.
Like, if that's James Conner, I love it. I love James Conner in this round. I think this is a great spot for James Conner. I immediately love Ethan's draft way more. Maybe I'm just a James Conner stan, but yeah, I think James Conner there instead. His draft looks way better. You're on Kyler Murray. Basically every draft, I would go Kyler instead of Lamar too. Like this next round coming up, I'd go Kyler. Yeah, I like Kyler. Round 6. That's where we're at. Yeah, that is where we're at. Rashee Rice probably. You're probably gonna like that too. He's just like so that far down the list because of the suspension possibility, but just how his season ended. He's tied to Patty Mahomes. It's going to be a good offense. He's a good player. It's a good value pick there.
Rice and Tank. I think Tank fell like a round and a
Tank.
half or something. So there was a run of tight ends at the first half of that round. Which one is your favorite if you had the 3 to pick from? Pitts, Kittle, and Ingram? Who do you think is gonna be the
Probably
best?
Ingram would be my favorite of those 3. I think he'll be the most consistent. I think Kittle's got a little bit too much competition, and he's more boomer bust, right? He's not very consistent, and I kind of like consistency. Pitts, I don't know. It's just like this is the year he's got to do it, but I don't want to be the guy to hold in his final year of possibly being good. And then Ingram, he's proven it here last year. I think he's only got a better chance for like a big target share. Because who really knows what BTJ is? Who knows if Gabe Davis is any good? Christian Kirk is like could be hurt half the year anyway. It's just the way he does. He's just gonna have consistent volume, I think.
It's odd. I do think Ingram is my favorite also, but I would have liked to get him at like a more of a value.
Yeah, a little early still.
Yeah.
Just because you could have gotten him later, I would bet.
Hmm.
But with the run tight ends, I can see why you go for it if you really liked him.
Yeah. This is where I feel like the draft started going haywire, where people were just saying, my guy got taken. I don't know who to take anymore. Everyone's getting sniped. So picks might start looking a little goofy, but we got Ladd, Montgomery, Godwin, Javante, Rome, Burrow, Pollard, Allen, Mostert, Worthy.
Yeah, I mean, my draft this round I still was okay. I still got who I wanted. It's after this round where mine really starts going haywire. So I picked up Javante. I got his jersey on. Did a little jersey switch while we were in the draft room as well. It was kind of fun. My favorite pick, if I didn't have Tyreek again, I would have picked Mostert possibly. I think Mostert's like disrespected a heavy amount. Why do we all think that Devon Achane really is just gonna be like? Why are they so far apart? It doesn't make sense to me.
Because he's
Raheem
not
Mostert was like
32.
I get it, but Raheem Mostert was like the RB, what, 3, 2, 3, 1? What was he? I don't know. He was a beast. I don't see any reason he should be going this late, so I think it's a nice little RB3 for Luke.
Yeah, no, I like that too. I would say Montgomery's my favorite pick of the round just because that's who I was targeting and wanted to fall to me and have a sour taste.
Was on my radar as well. I forgot about that.
So there's that. But this next round, I got two guys sniped for me. Pretty disappointed. One guy who I didn't see not falling to me because I was going to reach for him in the end of the 8th round, which is JSN. I would have hit really bad, or Brian Thomas. I thought for sure I was going to walk away from the draft with one of them, and I didn't. So I like those as my two favorite picks from that 8th round.
My favorite pick is Brian Robinson Jr., and he was snatched out of my hands 2 picks before me. This is why I was like pretty heavily invested and a fan of going light on the RB early. I really like Ramondre. I really like Javante. I really like Brian Robinson. These are all guys I'm like, if they're my RB2 and 3, I'm feeling. So I think he's going to have a good year. I think Austin Eckler is basically non-existent deal. Brian Robinson's the guy. That's my favorort pick. And this is where I was most upset in the draft, I think, was when Robinson went two before me.
Would you have taken Brooks if he was there?
No, probably not. I probably should have if he was there, but I would not have. My hope going after Rob got taken, I was thinking Warren, but then I was like, I think I might be able to wait on Jalen Warren. And then the guy with 16 running backs already took Jalen Warren.
Jake has so many running backs.
Yeah. So I went Keon Coleman. I think it's a reasonable upside pick. I already have some pretty good receivers. I think it's like honestly a good pick, but it also could be a dud. So it was an interesting pick for me. Moving on.
More than likely a dud.
Yeah, but you never know. Moving on. Round 9. Think I made an oopsie here. Maybe not an oopsie, but I think Jerome Ford or Rico Dowdle is who I should have went, and I went Corum. So I think Jerome Ford is probably my favorite pick here.
Yeah, I was just looking at that list and I was like, out of the running backs that were available for you, I think Ford would have been a lot better. Maybe even Chase Brown, someone that is getting like that starting role right away for week 1.
Chase Brown's not the starter week 1.
Well, I feel them as like tandem starters.
Maybe.
Like I don't think anyone's not one running back's gonna be getting 20 carries and one's gonna be getting 10.
Sure.
I think they're both gonna be getting like 15-ish.
I
mean we're getting pretty deep here. D-Hop's kind of a value here. Other than that, I also wanted Singletary again to fall to me, but was sniped again by Jake. Who
Jake really
Jake did not need a running back, and he took another one. I don't know,
Bastard.
like who this guy has. CeeDee Lamb and Pittman and Ridley is, I feel like, pretty shaky as your wide receiver too.
I don't like Pittman much. I'll be honest. I don't like Pittman very much at all. I like Ridley a decent amount, but
I like him also.
But as my like RB2 pseudo or wide receiver 2, I don't know. Having to rely on him a lot, it's a bit scary.
And like you have to rely on him because otherwise you have Palmer and Thielen to rely on. So
yeah, I mean we'll get to that in the next couple rounds, I guess. You said you said D-Hop, I think. Round 10, I kind of already mentioned him in the round prior. Rico Dowdle, kind of a homer pick, but I think he's going to be really good. I think he will get a lot of the work. I think Zeke is washed. I think Dalvin Cook is washed. And I think Rico Dowdle is actually pretty good at football. So
I don't think he's going to be like really good, but I think he's just going to be a value for like his price point. And he's going to have the volume to give him that. Like, yeah, he can still be good in fantasy and provide that value, but I don't think he's going to be like good at football and be
not like necessarily
these guys
like a
are
really good football player. No,
like he's gonna have so much volume, Rashad White, where he's just kind of launched into like a fantasy relevance kind of year
Yeah.
is what I'm seeing. Round 10, I would say Dobbs is maybe my favorite value just because we don't really know what's going on in Green Bay
Yeah.
and who's going to be shaking out at like that wide receiver one or who's going to be end up with the most targets. And I could see Dobbs being that guy, especially just with how the season ended with all of that attention he got in the playoffs.
Yeah. The Green Bay room is just a mess. I felt like so scared to draft any of them. I think the only one I would have drafted is Christian Watson. It's because I like a big play. I like a big play guy, especially at this point, at that point in the draft. I'm like, that's the type of guy I want who just gives me like incredible upside. And Romeo Dobbs and Wicks, I don't know. It's just like so up in the air. But like the chance of them being that guy in the offense is almost worth it at this point in the draft to just take a shot. Round 11, I think, is mine. It got sniped for me. That's who I really wanted here instead of J.K. Dobbins. I wanted Josh Palmer. I think he was really super playable as the wide receiver one on the Chargers when Mike Williams and Keenan were both out. I think he'll be the wide receiver one at least for the first half of the season before McConkey gets his feet under him. I think he's a really nice value here in the 11th.
I mean, none of these picks are really calling out to me, so I'm going to speed this up and we can just skim through these picks. But I agree with Palmer. I also think like the shot on Leggett or Rashid Shaheed at the end of this round is pretty good. And then also with just the hatred that I showed for Aaron Jones earlier on, I think Ty Chandler could be the more valuable Viking running back.
Just in terms of where you drafted them.
Yeah.
Next round, I like Darnell Mooney. Good chance to be good in that offense. I have him in a lot of best ball and stuff like that. I really like him as a dart throw late in drafts.
I like the Jaden Daniels draft.
Yes.
Even though Ben really didn't need him with drafting Dak Prescott, I was going to take him over Brandon Cooks if he fell to me as my first quarterback. And then like Braylon Allen, Tyron Tracy, those are pretty surprising. I feel like those were pretty early picks, but Jalen Polk is a good pull.
I agree, 100%.
Start of the round also.
Round 13, I got two guys on my radar in this one. Maybe three, but two more than the last one, I think. Pop Douglas and Luke McCaffrey for me. I think they both have pretty reasonably open rooms where they can just get targets and have the chance to be relevant. So I think they're good dart throws. Kind of same with Roman Wilson.
I'm going to say Brock Purdy because no one else in this round really like screams out to me. I'm like, yeah, I could go without drafting any of those players, but Brock Purdy is actually fantasy viable, and he was my first quarterback taken, so I got value elsewhere. Where I think that's a pretty good pick.
I have two again, kind of in 14, just because it's hard to pick one. They're all kind of whatever. One is Jordan Mason. That's who I wanted in this round. I think it's nice to have that handcuff. The other one is my Puka of the year, Javon Baker, but we talk about him a lot, so I won't talk about him.
Puka of the year, Javon Baker, your guy. I'll go Tua again. I feel like I'm just every single year.
People that are picking their QB ones, basically.
Yeah, people that are weighted on QB, it's paying off later in the draft like this.
I kind of agree. But the kind of where I was at when I took QB early, I hadn't been really fully doing that. But when there's not guys I like position players early, I just end up defaulting to like a elite quarterback. That's my draft process. 15, I don't know. There's kickers and defenses. I don't really give a shit if I'm being honest. Cowboys defense, goats. Let's go. I don't know.
We don't probably.
Round 16, I will say one more. I think Samaje Perine a reasonable grab at the end. He's the RB2. He's going to be like
hyping up your guys. Go off, kid.
Worse. Yeah, I know. Worse Samaje Perine. Worse. I think he's like someone you can play if you need to. So
I got a better value. Dallas Goedert in the 16th round.
Is it though? He already has George Kittle. Who cares?
I know he really didn't need him, but if he was like his tight end one, Dallas Goedert at the end of the draft, where Kmet and Musgrave and Freiermuth are being drafted of him, I feel like that's a pretty
100%
sick
true.
pick. And then last pick, Dez Bryant. Man, what a steal!
Got it. He did catch it, so I agree. All right, do we want to do kind of just talk about how you feel about your draft, just in general as a whole? We'll start with you.
I'll start. I can pull up one of the screenshots that
You're highlighted as well. Oh, are you gonna compare?
Oh, yeah. I think like my favorite mock draft was it started off as Breece Hall, Isaiah Pacheco, Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, Mark Andrews, Rashee Rice, Calvin Ridley, JSN. So like the guys I really wanted were somehow T. Higgins just really ended up as one of my must draft guys because I was so high on Jamar Chase. I think I just kind of pivoted that over to T. Higgins, who to my memory was like a second or third round pick the past 2 years, and now he's just randomly a fifth round pick out of the blue when he has a healthy Joe Burrow, and who like even if Chase misses some games, like T. Higgins' value even goes up even more. And then I really wanted Mark Andrews because he was my favorite tight end, and I wanted like some solid running backs earlier on because I knew I could find some wide receivers later on, which unfortunately were like Rice and JSN and Kelvin Ridley, who I didn't end up getting it all, but I still got some, my opinion, some solid
Yeah,
wide receivers and
I agree.
Chris Godwin, Deontay Johnson, Jaden Reed, who like they're not gonna disappoint me, but they also aren't
I
gonna
think
like win
also
me a
Tyler
week.
Lockett and round 10 is a phenomenal pick too.
That was just like my, well, I didn't get JSN, so
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I was just wrong on that take, now it's like a win-win
True.
situation
Very
too.
true. Very true.
So I was pretty happy with what I walked away with because I got stud running backs, which I wanted. I got a stud tight end or like an early on tight end, which I really wanted, and then a lot of wide receiver depth. Pretty happy. I didn't get the specific players that I wanted, but
Same general idea.
yeah.
For me, I was pretty confident that I was getting Tyreek or CD at 4. I just felt like Dayne was going RB the whole way. Obviously, that didn't seem to be true, but I felt like you're going RB the whole way. So I thought I'd get one of them. So I was basically always going wide receiver, wide receiver. My favorite mock was CD, Drake London, and this is actually something I got a lot, like more often than not. It was CD, Drake London, Travis, Alvin Kamara, Zay Flowers.
Travis Etienne in the third.
No. Travis Kelce. I went wide receiver, Kelce, Kamara, Flowers, Ramondre, Kyler. I got it, and I like that was exactly how I wanted to start my draft. So I was like pretty similar, I guess. I got wide receiver, Kelce. Wrong. I got Lamar Jackson, Flowers, Ramondre. So basically, my QB just flipped with Javonte. So instead of Kyler, Kamara, I got Lamar, Javonte, which I think inherently is a worse combo. I still got the general idea of what I wanted. And then after Javonte, my draft, I don't think I drafted a single one of these players in any draft, minus Javon Baker. I had not had a single one of these players. Completely just winging it after Javonte, because normally I'd go in Keon Coleman's spot, Brian Robinson almost every time, and then kind of just receivers for the rest of the way because I felt confident in my running backs.
You kind of went my method of last year. I went heavy rookie last year, and you and Troy Franklin, Luke McCaffrey, Javon Baker,
and Keon Coleman,
and Blake Corum. Granted, my rookies were like first round, second round.
Your rookies were better, but you also got them earlier, I feel like, too. So,
yeah.
So in general, first half of my draft, pretty chalk to what I was expecting. Pretty happy with it. Back half, I think I made a lot of picks that I would change if I did this draft again. I think I got tilted. I started tilt drafting after my guys got stolen. So not a good showing from me there. Lost my cool a bit for sure in terms of level-headedness and drafting well, but it might work out. I think I like a lot of like the Troy Franklin, Luke McCaffrey. I even like J.K. Dobbins. I think just the chance.
I like him too, but he just like shot up the draft board out of nowhere.
Yeah,
like he was like a last round pick a lot of the time, and then randomly like, what the fuck is he doing in the 10th, 11th round right now? Like, yeah, he does have that. Like, where did Gus go?
Gus went.
Gus with the 9th
before.
So
yeah,
and he's not even practicing or anything. And I don't know what happened to Vidal, but
I don't know. He could be one of those guys that got overlooked in these drafts, and it's gonna be like oh shit, pick him up after week 1. Like I could see him being that guy this year. Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing for my draft, really truly, is going to be Ramondre being who I think he's gonna be, and Zay Flowers being who I think be. If those two let me down, I think I am in a bad spot because I did not.
Ramondre.
Yeah, Ramondre and Zay. I think realistically, Ramondre and Javonte volume that I need for waiting on running backs till this point. It's just a matter of are they going to do anything with the volume that they get.
I see them both being at least top 24 running backs.
Yeah, I mean that's why. Yeah, I mean I'm pretty confident.
A little more, but
I'm pretty confident in my top. Like I think Kelce will be good. I think Adams will be good. I think Hill will be good. I think Lamar will be Lamar. And if Zay Flowers takes the jump I think he's going to take, my team will be really, really good. But I think I'm biased as hell. So yeah.
All right. Well, that was our recap of our redraft league. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, let us know what other content you guys want to see with our redraft teams and what you just want to see season long of. Do you guys want to see?
And we are changing up how we're doing things this year when it comes to picks. I'm just going to put that out here now so people aren't surprised. We're not going to go full in depth on the lineups every week. I think we're just kind of put out our picks of the week. Be like, hey, I got these guys. He's going to say, I got these guys. And that's going to be it and go into some other content. So we're not just going over the same lineups every week.
Little announcement.
Thank Thank you for watching, everyone. Let us know feeling. Actually, you know what I want to see? I want everyone to take a look at this draft board and see what their favorite. That's what I want you guys to do. Comment down below your favorite team. Set that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.
Doses.